thank you very much for having me here. I'm very happy and very honored. When reading the essay Faith as Experience of Mystery, I actually, from my position of a pastoral practical theologian, was looking for the practical application. So I would like to refer to two aspects of it as I read the text and as I elaborated what might be interesting for the teams. Both themes that I would like to refer to, that's the respect for diversity in ministry, being the number one, and the second, the mediation of spirituality. Both themes are actually addressed very recently by Tomáš Halík, also in his other texts, directly or not. So I was interested how we as pastoral theology, as ministry studies, we can refer to the topic. For training new ministers, for instance, new religious leaders, new religious spiritual models. So first,
you're going to use this one.
This one. So first would be the respect for diversity. I will reflect a little bit to that. I took as my leading sentence the quotation from Tomáš Halík: "The spiritual life of the individual and society is a dynamic energy field that is constantly evolving or changing." Something we heard already earlier today, but I just find it exciting, the expression of the dynamic energy field. So how did I come to the theme of diversity? It didn't take me actually a long time when reading the essay of Tomáš Halík. Tomáš Halík often chooses poetic titles for his chapters, articles. So I had to go no further, and I kept by the title, which caught my attention right away. The three words, the faith, the experience, and the mystery, as outlined in the title of the chapter, represent Halík's recent work so pregnantly, and I believe making it accessible enough and mysteriously appealing at the same time. Many authors, many of you who are present today here also have discussed these concepts in depth. I would like to stay by the more practical perspective today myself. So while Halík is known for his language play, I did a little semantic work too, and checked possible variations of these words to find a possible dynamics that could reveal a plurality of experiences and approaches to faith. So methodically, very easily, I interchanged the word order systematically. I changed the sequence, and I limited myself only to using the adverb as and the preposition of to keep it manageable, in a manageable scope. And by doing this, I actually identified a very rich diversity and found out an inspirational material, perhaps, for further theological reflection, and maybe some helpful instrument for portraying a diversity of approaches. So actually, you can check yourself in my brief table, and I would just outline only the three of them to suggest that there are actually many approaches, and it is possible to keep them. So when Halík speaks about the faith as experience of mystery, also the Czech translation down there, which would be perhaps the faith-based perspective, in the red part of the table, we can see, for example, in the blue one, in the experience-based model, experience of faith as mystery. Or, when we start with the mystery, I suggest, for example, mystery of faith as experience. And it just actually led me to a very manifold space that could be developed by really seeing the perspectives. This shows, I believe, the scheme shows theoretical and practical variations that faith, experience, and mystery can create. Moreover, the scheme proposes three different approaches: a faith-based model, an experience-based model, and a mystery-based model. It suggests, in my view, that people access spirituality through various doors: rational, emotional, and intuitive. And although one door might be predominant, we see, still other doors are also open and available to that person at the same time. It's not exclusive. So, although of course this model is not exhaustive in variations and challenges, in a way it challenges some previous normative and generic approaches in theology or in ministry studies, and proposes that there is not exclusivity or uniformity in accessing faith. And that's my way to expressing the diversity. So, time is running, so I'll just keep it short. So what kind of diversity we can actually encounter in pastoral field work? And how can respect to plurality be exercised in a practical way? Leaving aside any demographical, social, psychological, gender variables, I'd like to emphasize, as Halik does, so not that surprisingly, at the spiritual level of diversity. It portrays spiritual life as changing constant, as the dynamic field. Wow, the time is so running. So many interesting things for you.
You have still 7 minutes.
No, I'm in the middle, so just want to emphasize, the emphasis on not being uniform and exclusivist, as we heard also earlier by Chris Davey, that some tendencies of the church communities leading to exclusivity. And this is something.
You have more than 15.
No. I keep to 15.
I close the.
No, I have my own. No, I will perhaps skip to the topic of the synod, as also my colleague Clara suggested, and Tomáš Halík suggested at the opening panel last year here in Prague. Then choosing the enlarge the 10th motto of the ongoing synod on synodality actually shows some willingness to redefine this kind of ministry. So, as I'm now trying to develop a functional model or tool for ministers to understand, accept, and reflect spiritual diversity of their people, their congregations, I'm particularly interested in outlining a richness of spiritual experiences within Christianity and at the edge of it. While some modern forms of spiritual ministry, such as chaplaincies, are forced to adapt to changing state conditions very quickly, actually, many people in classical church settings would probably struggle with accepting even promoting such pluralism. And this will apply similarly to clergy and lay people as well in the Catholic context, for instance. Okay, that would be enough. Details privately by lunch. And my second thing, mediation of spirituality. Well, again, I draw on Tomáš Halík's spirituality is the lifestyle of faith, and spirituality as the passion of faith. Something that actually for people who do research in this topic, find it very appealing, very attractive. But then I did a little play, the language play, and I found out actually on many occasions the situation is that people within churches, within established religions, they may have faith without experience of mystery. And that's a challenge, a pastoral challenge. These can be either people who grew religious but have not experienced personal conversion, or those who are for various reasons afraid of transcendence and mysticism. So a key pastoral question then would be how to mediate an experience of mystery, experience of God in theological terms. With a declining religious identification in the afternoon of Christianity, Halid believes that support of spirituality is a primary Christian challenge now. And once churches understand their mission as promotion of spiritual, that is existential and transcendental dimensions, they will succeed in bringing the meaning, perhaps bringing Christ in the world even far beyond the church boundaries. And he continues on saying that we need ministers who live their faith and spirituality authentically and radically. Otherwise, it will not attract people to follow or to question even. So faith that is passed on only through catechetical, sacramental, or liturgical means, it may be not appealing for people from outside of the established religion, but also for the people from within, as we have just heard about the studies on the convent. So I'll just conclude with a little reference to the topic I've been dealing a lot, and that's something also Thomas Halleck speaks a lot. That's the spiritual guidance. That's training people in ministry, both clergy and lay, in being the guides instead of teachers. Historically, the spiritual direction or spiritual accompaniment had two forms: the institutional, the clerical or priestly, and then the charismatic, involving more people with talent, skills, charisma. But today there is a tendency to professionalize this ministry and involve both lay and clerical. So, last conclusion to that, speaking of both of the phenomena I reflected today, it seems that is as if respect for diversity could be addressed by a rational approach to faith, while mediation of spirituality could be transferred or interpreted by the emotional and intuitive approach. My question, and maybe my homework, then would be to ask if and how a promotion of diversity can be carried also through the other means, through the emotional and intuitive, not only the rational. And similarly, how spirituality can also be mediated, transferred, addressed by intellectual means in pastoral settings. Thank you very much.